message my... Hello everyone, this is Generic Fool's Test. I am going to be streaming more of Parasite Eve today. I'm not going to have too much time to do it. I'm only going to have about an hour. I did some stuff off stream, and it turns out that I've made mistakes. Although it seems like I had tons of tools before, I may have ruined my chances in the end game by basically overusing them. Well, to be fair, it was my first time playing the game, so, there's that. But I am just really stupid. I usually try to conserve things, but I was just like, oh, well, I guess I'll just use all these items which are limited. Either way, without further ado, I think I'll get started on the stream. I've run around a bit. Make sure that there's nothing here. I got distracted earlier. I intended to start streaming an hour ago, but in the end I ended up just oh yeah, it's here. Huh? It looks like rotten meat. I'm going down to have a look. Notify Daniel for me. Yes, wait, here, take this. Narita. Careful now. I don't know if all these items actually... do something. Oh, ammo. Oh boy. I already have the maximum amount of ammo. Oh. I could have been smart and done that before opening the treasure chest, but me and intelligence, they don't really work together. Well, at least I've regained some stuff. Great. I've really got low health. Try to see if I can get the, well, I'm taking too long, and these guys are doing a little bit too much damage, so... I'm very glad that I have that equipment that allows me to use an auto potion whenever I'm low on health. Guess I'll collect all. I have no idea if I'm heading in the right direction, but I don't want to accidentally, you know, miss stuff. Oh boy. I'm guessing this is the maze portion of the game, where basically, you know, there's a specific order that I must go in. Nope, dead end. Alright. So, the people watching, has anyone actually played this game before? And I sort of wonder if the people who are watching are, you know, all, or people who already follow me, or if they are, you know, just somebody who's come by and checked to see what this weirdo is doing. Later, why is my... Wait a second. Why is my range so small? Oh. Oh. Darkness. Me being stupid. So I guess I'll keep that. For those who are people who've played this game before, I apologize for being a big old dum-dum. And as I said, I have no idea if this place is following Lost Woods rules, in that I'll just keep going, or... Well, that answers it. I'm just going to explore a bit. I don't think I have enough time until work begins to... Ah, yes, I got the item which is named after me. A tool. Darkness is annoying. all the other status ailments I can literally brute force my way through. I do not need that many. Let's see. Defense +1. Actually, let's check how good that is now. Oh my god! With a party of 11. Jesus. Yeah. Hey! Thanks for coming by. I really appreciate it. And welcome to my stream. Sethasoar. Alright. How are you today? Or this morning or evening, whatever it is. Have you played Parasite Eve before? Well, it's going alright so far. I just started the stream not too long ago. I have realized I've used all the tools on the wrong thing, so they end. Oh, so. Oops, no. I'm sorry. Not really good at talking and focusing on dodging at the same time. I literally just... I'm so happy I increased my... I'm very glad that I increased the... Oh no, I'm out. Nope. Need to be in point blank. Just over that. Alright. No, I'm sorry. Yeah. Oh. That's... I'm glad to hear that. Sorry, trying to avoid getting hit by darkness, and also trying to be a good host and watch people is something I'm not doing terribly well. Still, thank you everyone for dropping by. I really appreciate it. But yeah, I've always wanted to play this game since back when I was younger. I played the second, or tried to play the second game at Blockbuster, back when Blockbuster was a thing. But, you know, you can't play 2 without having a save data from 1. Which, you know, I found out only after my parents had, you know, gone. Oh yeah. Especially for the time. And it was made by Square Enix. Which, you know, back when I feel they were a bit, or Squaresoft technically at the time. Back when they were a bit more experimental with what they did. Also, it's one of those games where the main character, the female main character, isn't built in a way where people would complain these days, which is, you know, also nice. And though the faces, I have to say, some of the faces in this game are hilarious. You can't quite tell here, but because of, well, the low resolution. But Aya, the main character's face, she actually has eyes, a mouth, and a nose. When you see the other characters, though, all they have are little black dots for eyes. And sometimes they're not even properly aligned. So in some of the scenes when you're in the police car with your, you know, partner, it'll look like his eyes are going in opposite directions, and it'll look like his beard is not placed in the right space. Like, I wish you could see my hand so that you could tell, but it's like his mouth is slightly to the left of where it is, and his goatee is slightly to the right of where it should be. So it's like it looks hilarious. This game is, you know, sort of groundbreaking for its time, but it's you're not really supposed to be able to look in at the closer details. But yeah. Well, sorry, I'm getting that. Sorry, Lucky Boy, I just saw your comment now. I've not actually played Metal Gear Acid. It's one of the few Metal Gear games I didn't play. But Parasite Eve and its sequel, Parasite Eve 2, are a sequel to the Parasite Eve book series. I haven't read it, but it was apparently good enough to get the, you know, for them to make a game sequel. Oh yeah. Ooh. During this time in gaming, they were a lot more experimental. One of the games I intend to play sometime is actually an RPG fighting game, where you enter in the commands for spells and techniques via putting in fighting game inputs. At the start, the combos are really easy, but as you get to higher points in the game, they become more complicated and more involved. I can't remember the name of the game off the top of my head. I mean, I haven't played it, but when I heard of it, it was so interesting. I'm going to play it when I, you know, there's a lot on my backlog of what I want to stream. But I've currently... Games nowadays look so much better in terms of graphical fidelity, rather. But at the same time, one of the really cool things about games from this era is they were a lot more willing to experiment and see what worked and see what didn't work. Now, mind you, that didn't always work, but... I'll have to keep track of that. But... Oh, yeah, those games were interesting. Another game that did something similar to that was Final Fantasy II. However, Final Fantasy II probably did it in a much worse way. Because in Final Fantasy II, your strength would increase by performing melee attacks, your magic would increase by doing magic, and your, I think, defense would increase by taking hits. Which of course meant that the better you did and the less damage you took, the worse you were. But I'm going to, one second, just type something. I'm just going to check that out, and yeah. And thanks for following me, Sethasoar. I really appreciate it. But yeah, I'll check out that game, Lucky Boy. No, Lunky Boy, sorry. I'm sorry, did I mention I'm slightly dyslexic? You know, at my age, I should be able to read. Okay, so I've gone back to where I was before. Or wait. I should go back and then go the other way. Before I actually try progressing, I'm one of those people who likes to get every single thing. But yeah. It's... What was your favorite PlayStation 1 game? Or, you know, game from that era? Also, welcome back, Sethasoar, if I didn't say it. Alright, so now I'm going to go down again, see where this is. Yeah. I wanted to buy, like, Soul Reaver on Steam, but the problem is some of them are no longer available on the, oh, there's a wall. Some of them are no longer available on Steam, so I'm required to use alternative means. I've always wanted to play Xenogears. The first game in that series I played was Xenosaga, which, but yeah. I also have to play the original Legacy of Kain. There are so many games that at the time I could not afford because, you know, I was a little kid. But now as an adult, I still can't afford them because they've all basically become collector's items. Which is, you know, a different matter entirely, but yeah. Xenosaga Episode 1, in my opinion, was really good, but Xenosaga 2... Xenosaga 2 turned me off. Well, yes, I can, which is what I'm doing with Parasite Eve. But, you know, when I can, I would very much like to afford to buy and have a physical copy of a game. Call me old-fashioned, but I like owning the games I have, which nowadays one of the problems is people can just, companies can just go, oh, hey, we don't want you to have this game anymore that you invested all your time and money into. What fun. But yeah. Oh, no. Well, yeah. I also hate scalpers for, you know, just jacking up the price of stuff. Yeah. I also don't like it when... Yeah, I'll put the QRD in the side of it. Oh, I didn't need that. Sorry. I should heal. But yeah, it's just... Also, I'm sorry, I'm gonna go on a little bit of a rant right now, so I apologize that. Like, I'm annoyed with Sony because of, you know, what happened with the recent game. How they're like, we don't have hi. Welcome to the stream and thank you for coming by. It's just like, wow, we have 0, like, properties that we can use. So we needed to spend, you know, what was it, $500 million on that one game? Oh, yeah. Well, yeah. Ultimately, I play Magic the Gathering, so we have stuff like the Power 9, which are, you know, the ridiculously expensive stuff, but going back to my complaint earlier, why can't they just remake Bloodborne? Or, you know, one of the many other great series that was around during the time of the PlayStation 1. Well, it's a multi-level thing. One, they didn't. There are several things, as I said. One, I do believe, inclusion and diversity needs to happen in games, but there's a right way and a wrong way. And the way that they've been doing it lately is the complete wrong way. And you can do it without making a terrible character or pissing off people. Like, I mean, God. They are just like, hey, if you haters don't like our game, don't buy it. And then no one buys it. Oh my God, we're being bullied. It's just like, you told us not to buy your game, and we didn't buy your game. Well, from some people I've heard, the game itself wasn't bad. It's just that a lot of the characters were ugly, and also, the whole way the creators were acting was gross. Like, I don't know, many might remember this, but do you remember DMC Devil May Cry, where they tried to reboot the series? And it was given a new creator, and that creator, the head of that team, just kept saying all these things, trashing the original series. And calling the fans terrible idiots and all this other stuff. So by the time it came out, it wouldn't have mattered how good the game was. He had given the game so much bad publicity and pissed off people so much that they all had an axe to grind. I mean, you need fans and gamers to want to buy your game. Well, I mean, at this point, if Sony takes too much longer trying to remaster Bloodborne, the community will take it into their own hands. I mean, you'd think with the popularity of Elden Ring and Black Myth Wukong, they would basically go, oh, it would be a great idea to release this game that everyone keeps telling us to and begging us to release, to take advantage of the popularity, and also because, our current gen system doesn't have enough games. Yeah. I don't know, just making games is hard, and I don't know. I've had a lot of trans friends, so I understand the struggles that they go through. But the answer is not saying white people are evil and that all gamers are racist. Have you seen the Kitchen Nightmares? Specifically the episode with Amy's Baking Company. Because the woman from that episode reminds me of a lot of the people who are championing or being a part of like Sweet Baby and other companies like that, where Gordon Ramsay comes up to the woman and is just like, okay, so, we just... Yeah, but it's also like, they're talking about inclusion, but the stuff that they're adding isn't inclusion. They're adding tokenism. Like, tokenism is racist. You're bringing the character to a stereotype and just putting them in there, and then you're making them there just to fill out a checklist rather than to put in a well-developed character. Which, for me, one of the worst games I saw in terms of that was Mass Effect Andromeda. I was going through a thing and I just said hi to someone, and then they started like, I am a trans person, I transitioned to this and I traveled to the galaxy so I could be here, transitioned in peace. And I'm like, nobody buddy. Well, you know, that's why I call these people the better than you crew, because they think that they're better than everyone else. And in practice, they're not. It's also funny because if you look at the, like, responses and Discord messages and various things that they message to each other, they're constantly saying racist stuff or things like that. And I'm not even talking about like the white racism. Like so many of these people who I've looked into their chats, they're just like, they use the N-word. They did. Oh yeah. It was a very minor character, and they just went into that and kept talking about how they transitioned. It was, for me, it was annoying because if you know anyone who has actually transitioned into the gender they identify as and gone through the surgery and all that, they're not going to tell you about the person they were or that they transitioned. That person's gone. They are who they are now, and they want to be seen as that person now. They will only bring up the person they were if it's of great importance or something which, you know, they are forced to. I mean, there are people who do wear their turmoil on their sleeve, but those people are trying to be treated as special. Trans people don't want to be put on a pedestal. They want to be treated like human beings. And people should be treated like human beings. Just because you're a certain gender or just because you're a certain race does not mean I need to bow down and worship you. And on top of that, the people who they act like, oh, we have this person who's a minority here. You need to praise us for being so brave. And then you look into that person and it's like, okay, the example I'm giving is for the Star Wars like Disney thing that was released recently. The one with that black actress who was, you know, playing the two twins. They kept talking like, oh, she came from a poor you look into it, she comes from a very wealthy family. Her father, she's also half white, which, considering how much she's talking badly about white people, would, you know, seem kind of weird since she's insulting her father. It's just like they're getting everything through nepotism. If they really want to support the underprivileged, they should be spending the money that they get. Oh, I guess for those who don't know, in both the UK, not just the UK, but in Europe and America, and this includes Canada too, a large portion, a good amount of our tax dollars are going to funding Sweet Baby and games that are putting inclusion in. So, you know, it is just shit writing. And of course, you know, each time a game comes out, it's just like, we're so great. We have a black person in our game as the main character. We have a woman in our game. This is the first time there has ever been a strong female character. And it's just like, no. No, there's been plenty of strong female characters in gaming. And the funny thing is, their ideal version of a strong female character is, hey, what do we hate about toxic masculinity? Let's just give that to a woman and just say it's a good, positive thing. But I'm complaining too much about, you know, that stuff, so I'll, Why? Why would they close down the hospital near where you live? Jesus. Yeah, but you know, no, we need to keep funding these people who keep screaming for money and just start doing stuff because, you know, in addition to being government-backed, these companies are also corporate-backed. And on top of that, they all have the nerve to furthermore ask for crowdfunding. Like, how shameless can you be? And now, one of the reasons why these games might be doing so poorly is that they may be using. In the past, one of the things that they would do as a way to, as a financial scheme, is they would make terrible movies. Because by making these terrible movies, they would be reimbursed a certain amount of money. Now, they wouldn't take money from, paychecks and stuff, so the people who would do stuff like that would give themselves really high wages and, stuff like that. So, I can't remember. I learned about this scheme 10 years ago, so it's been a while. But that's one of the reasons why a lot of the early video game movies sucked, because they were designed to fail as a scheme to get money because of certain tax loopholes. So I'm wondering if, in addition to being shit writers, maybe the companies are taking advantage of a similar loophole to try and, make money quick. Because when you look into this stuff, you find out that, these companies are giving, a ton of money to themselves, the creators, and all that other stuff. Because the thing I was talking about for money, I remember it, if I remember correctly, it was in Germany. A German man who was doing it. I don't remember. As I said, it was 10 years ago, and I haven't looked at it since. Yeah. Well, the problem is a lot of the loopholes are very hard and very specific, and you basically need to hire somebody who can fully take advantage of that. And in order to do that, you basically need to be like a million or billionaire, or have very good connections, which most people don't have. So, that's. It's. I don't know. Just. And the worst part is, for me, that they're damaging the message that they're trying to send. In the old days, whenever there was a female character in charge of, or like that you controlled in a game, I would just be like, "Oh, cool." That seems like a neat thing. But nowadays, when I hear there's a strong, independent female character, I'm like, "Oh my god, I'm not gonna play this." Oh wait, I saw, just noticed twinkling. But it's always. Also, just so that you know, I don't normally spend my streams whining about that type of stuff. A super tool? Am I a super tool? But yeah. Also, I'm very sorry about whining so much about this stuff. I have Asperger's syndrome, so if I'm being annoying or saying something that bothers you, just tell me to shut up. I don't want to make anyone feel uncomfortable. Huh. Well, yeah. I don't know, as I said, this was the thing I'm thinking of is from a long time ago. It was for games that were made in, like, I have too much D. I mean, QWERTY, sorry. But it was from the 90s or prior. Is that him? Yeah. Is it him? I'm sorry, I don't remember. But probably. Yeah. There's a lot of people that you'd be shocked are real. Like. It wouldn't surprise me that there was somebody who did, but I don't want to get into that because, first of all, for a lot of people, it's a touchy subject, and I know stuff about that, which, you know, just, you know, well, let's see. Wait, oh, message phone. Exchange an item. QRD. Message sign. Like, for example, yeah, like, one of the really stupid things in America is, I'm sure you know about the Republican Party, because, you know, they're the ones who keep going on about God, how much they love this country, support the troops, and, you know, the rationality of a lot of stuff. Now, I'm not going to say that the Democrats aren't also shit. They are. There's just, you know, at this stage, the Democrats are slightly better, but they're still a lot more obnoxious. But the Republicans keep trying to defund the bill to support the 9/11 first responders. Like, I mean, that's hard to believe, especially since every time they can, they try to use the first responders to, oh my. AT down. Alright, well, I'm not going to put that. Oh god. That's funny. You see, that's the problem. With our political system, we do have centrist parties, but unfortunately, when you have one side that is basically going, all opposition to us is evil and wants to molest your kids or let the terrorists win and or, you know, have a ton of propaganda channels, then, you know, the people who grow up listening to Fox News and similar outlets tend to always vote Republican. And then on the left, they'll oftentimes have assholes who go, well, you know, they're all dumb monsters. How could you not understand that? What are you, stupid? Which turns away some of the Republicans that would have potentially listened to them. Because, you know, poisoning the well is never a good thing. But, like, you know, just in a healthy political system, voting more centrist is good because it shows you how to, like, well, yeah, but some people can't always go against the programming that they've heard. And so you're looking at that. Ah. That's, I don't know, it's also kind of funny because if you think about it, most of Russia's current problems are because of, well, the US and NATO, which is sort of, and it's because they wanted to do something good. Though, well, no, it's, I have a reason for saying that. After the collapse of the USSR, the US and NATO were wondering what they should do. Now that essentially Russia was, or well, rather what was left of the state of the states of the USSR, and they decided, rather than having European and American business owners step in to buy up a lot of the former Soviet, like companies and or things like that. Yes, Putin is a megalomaniac, but if the thing I was going to mention is getting up to it. I'm not trying to say that like fuck the West, but no, it's a case of they did something which they thought was great or good. Like, due to the collapse, Europe and America were worried that if a bunch of American and European business owners stepped in and literally bought up everything of value, that they would build resentment in the people living there. I mean, think about it. Most of these people grew up hearing that the EU, that Europe and America were the enemy, and that they sought the destruction of their very way of life, which very well have been true. So, what they all decided was that the Russian people should be, post-Soviet countries, but to a large part, this is best exemplified in Russia. So, they decided that the people of the former Soviet states should be able to figure out this themselves, and that they should build their own country without any involvement or influence of NATO or the US. And then the oligarchs stole everything, and the common person is suffering. And that's how Putin came into power. Because rather than being governed by, people who have to work under international law, the Russians in power do what the Russians in power have done throughout history. Or rather, people raised in that system. Where, it's just like, be an asshole to the people below you and basically tell people that it's everyone else's fault. Well, yeah, not all post-Soviet countries are like Russia. Yeah, of course he did. The only one who was really benefiting from the USSR was Russia and Moscow. Moscow specifically. One of the problems is how people are trying to say that push peace too much. Like, violence should never be the first response, and some situations can be solved or resolved with words. But throughout history we have learned that, I hope that our leaders had learned, that not everything can be solved with words. Yeah. Oh, and for many years I heard from a lot of, pacifist people that, if we give up our nuclear weapons, like Ukraine, then we wouldn't be invaded or no one would attack us. Nuclear weapons are, it's just like, yeah, and then, look at what's currently happening. I can guarantee you if Ukraine still had nuclear weapons, they would not be having this situation. And each time, it's just like those same people are like, Russia signed a peace treaty. We're safe, guy. Peace in our time. They're never going to do this again. Then they do it again. And then there are... I stopped following it a while ago, but when I last looked in to like what my country was doing are saying with Ukraine is just like, hey, have these weapons, but you're not allowed to attack sites in Russia. And it's just like, how? How are they supposed to put out the fire then? You're allowing Russia to do a ton of attacks on Ukraine, but you're not allowing Ukraine to retaliate. You're not telling the Ukrainians to indiscriminately bomb cities. You're telling them to go after military targets. It makes me wonder if leadership is incompetent or if leadership just wants to drag this conflict out as long as possible. Ultimately, when I like you saying that I'm 1/4 right is a very, very generous rounding up, because I'm basically just stating I'm keeping out a lot of details and other things, because first of all, I am an American, and as an American, my knowledge of the Soviet Union and former Soviet states is extremely limited, and it's limited to what I've heard from people who've come from those states. Also, as a dig at my own country, even with all the terrible things that Russia's doing, people in Russia still have access to free healthcare, which should say something about my country. No. Oh yeah. Well, yeah, and that's... I don't know, what I've learned about the USSR is so fascinating, because was a very strange state. It's also ironically what happens when you become more... it collapsed more because it started to open up and not crack down on things as hard. It is... it's... I love learning things about history and various other stuff, but I'm not exactly a knowledgeable person. Oh. 1 second, I'm just gonna check here briefly. Well, it's also the same in America. Not everything in America is as horrible as some people say it is. Like, for example, I grew up in Maryland, which contains Baltimore. And for those who don't know, Baltimore is, or at least was, the murder capital of America. The entire country. Well, yeah, and a lot of city like houses outside of Moscow and St. Petersburg don't have toilets, or if they do, not all of them have plumbing. But like in no, don't go down. Stop. It's a cut. It's a cut. It's an game cutscene. Sorry, I can't. Well, yes. I'm not trying to say that. The point of me complaining about that was not saying that Russia's medical care or healthcare system is good. I'm just saying that, Russia is a larger country than ours, and isn't doing as financially well as the United States is, but they are still able to provide their people with free healthcare, even if it takes a long time. Damn it. Oh. Oh, I am. Hello, darkness, my old friend. Sorry about that. I hate you, darkness. This bridge is a dick. Sorry. Oh yeah, but... Well, no country is perfect. A lot of them have their own issues and things that, you know, make them terrible. Terrible or great. Not all education in America is terrible. Yeah. It's the better club. If I remember correctly. Quick draw, yeah, that's good. And it doesn't have my attack. Yeah. Well, I don't want to complain too much about Russia since America has quite a lot of issues too. Yeah. Also, so did you know that one of the border walls in my country was built by illegal immigrant labor? Sorry, this is... It's the audience from the Central Park. Oh my. Ah, those pre-rendered cutscenes. Well, yes, Russia is a completely different story. But I'm not going to pretend. As I said, you know, it may be a case of one side is much worse, but we are slowly creeping in that way. Well, it depends. I mean, you get... But yeah. Well, in Russia at least, you'd be, you know, you might be jailed or beaten for that. But yeah, as you said, but like, yeah. Yeah. They also, well, to be fair, they also banned yellow and blue, wearing yellow and blue. Oh, and then they also say, like, all the famous, like, Russian people who are gay are like, no, they're not gay. That's just anti-Russian propaganda. I have to get the slime out of the reservoir before it infects the whole city. That's a treasure chest. Yeah, well, it's kind of... Rainbows have kind of been taken over by, you know, that movement. No. Well, you know, it's just that there's a bunch of homophobic people in charge. It's... I'm not saying that's a good thing. That's terrible. Okay, time for me to beat the shit out of these guys if I can. Oh yeah, I have... but yeah. Well, the real one is the traitor. It needs to be sent to a gulag. I mean, clearly. I mean, come on, it only makes sense that you jail the rainbow. It clearly doesn't support the Russian people. I'm sorry, I just need to get rid of some shit. Any stuff. I'm missing. Stop walking away. But just a case of ridiculous people being ridiculous. Oh well, I need to take this more seriously now. Well, it's a case of ridiculous people being ridiculous. Also, I'm going to need to change or I don't know, just crazy people being crazy, power control freaks being control freaks. After all, it's going to turn the frogs gay. Oh my. That's good. To be fair, when you've been raised in a system which indoctrinates you to a certain way of thinking, then it can cause people to think that way. Not all of them. Some of them are reasonable people. Just, you know, when you've been told something from a very young age, it can cause you to them, it's not, you know, a thing that's, like, to them it's basically something that they were just told from the start. It's the same thing as being told the sky is blue. Imagine if you were told the color, since you were an infant, you were told the color blue is actually red. And then, you know, after you were like 20 or 30, someone was just like, no, that's not red, that's blue. Well, it can also be kind of hard to do that type of stuff when the government also controls all the information that you get. So, a lot of Russians don't necessarily travel out of country, mostly because they can't afford it. But when you're stuck in country, you grow up in a very patriotic family, and furthermore, when to you this is life, one of the best things I can say is that everyone should be able to go to another country and experience different culture at least once in their life to give them an outside perspective, because even if you don't like the new culture, it may give you a new understanding for your own. One of the problems like we're having in my country now is that basically everyone like a lot of the Republicans are like, hey, I like what Russia's doing. They have full control over everything and they impose their will on people. That seems like a great idea. So, you know, one side is increasingly becoming like that. Well, yeah, that too. The country, the state is also trying to make it seem like it's bad. Like, why would you want to go there? It's the best. That reminded me of something sad. Why would you want to leave? You're in the best country in the world. And, it's true in America too. A lot of the extremely poor states in America where people can't really afford to live, infrastructure has gone to shit, and the minimum wage is terrible. A lot of and it's also ironically, a lot of these districts are strong Republican districts. And they're constantly being told how they live in the best state, all other states have it harder than you do, and all this other stuff. And of course, because they're told it all the time and they can't go anywhere else, they believe it. And, they don't ask for better because they think they're getting the best. Which, that's horrible. Like, in some parts of, like, Virginia, or I can't remember if it was Virginia or West Virginia. Well, whatever. Sorry, I'm going to have to go in a bit. But, like, or probably about, like, a little over 10 minutes I'll have to leave. But a lot of... Because of how cheap property is in some states, there's a lot of rich people who will build a house or build, like, these massive mansions in those states and then just commute to the places where they get better paying. Meanwhile, the locals have just so much trouble. To be fair, in America, a lot of, like, most people have access to running water, which, a lot of people in Russia don't. But, like, because of how terrible regulations are for environmental protection and stuff like that, in some cases, chemical companies and or gas companies will. Well, some parts of the country are probably from that time. Yes, but I'm aware that there are countries that have it worse, but just because, it's... Yeah, but just because, there's, like, a worse place doesn't mean you can't improve. For example, I can say, like, even though I normally don't have, like... Normally I'm a pretty decent person, but that doesn't mean that I shouldn't try to improve myself just because I'm not on the level of Hitler, Mussolini, Mao Zedong, or Stalin. I can't just say, well, I haven't killed billions of people, so by all standards I'm not bad. Just because there's someone worse does not mean you should get complacent or just say, yeah. Always strive to improve yourself, always try to improve what you can. Perfection is impossible to reach, but that does not mean that you should not try to always... Well, in terms of natural disasters, America is constantly hit by hurricanes, tornadoes, and stuff like that. Hi, random person. Hi, person. You're late, person. Sorry. Stream's almost over. But yeah. I got raided. And for once I'm not dead tired, I was whining earlier, but... Well, yeah. Like, I love my country. Well, person, if you went to sleep earlier, you'd be able to have caught the stream on time, or at a reasonable hour. But yeah, so many people in the Republican side go, hey, if you love this country, you shouldn't be criticizing it. Or, saying things just like, you're saying bad things about America, that means you hate this country, or if you don't like this, why don't you move elsewhere? It's like, if you love something, that does not mean you can't try to fix it. Also, I just noticed that only one of the streams has animation on this part here. I mean, it's saving resources, but no. Sorry. Yeah. Well, there's also a bunch of unnatural disasters. Like, there have been times where the water in some towns has become flammable. Well, yeah. As I said, it's just like Russia has a ton of problems, but yeah. It is, terrible, but just because you love your house does not mean that you can't say, there's a hole in my wall, I should probably fix it. But the way some people go is just like, no! If you admit there's a problem with something you love, you don't love it. Sorry. Or, it's the case of, as you're aware of, police corruption. Which, yes, I'm aware, in Russia it's worse. But, like, it's still not good. Like, sorry, I just need to make sure I don't... Oh! Oh my. It's a polka dot frog. I did not mean to do that. I thought I had the, club equipped. But yeah. Also, our police force runs around with enough firepower to the point of where it's stronger than some, Now there's the bats. I'm full of D. I hate these bats. Sorry. But our... Well, also, we're not as bad as China, which, that's also a low bar. But, like... There are people who say that, I have my father or my brother or my son is in the police. My son is a good person, so how dare you try to investigate the police? And it's just like... If you really cared about your family member and proving that they are not corrupt, then you should be more than happy to have the police investigated. Because you need... Well, sorry. Well, I mean... Yeah, some places are. No, it's just sort of funny in some ways. What some countries are willing to allow and what other countries are not. As much as people complain about America, I can complain about the president, I can say negative things about the president, and I will not be jailed. But, like in Russia and China, just... Yeah. Either way, this stream I feel has been way too political. is why I don't want to become a political person. I don't want to get canceled. I don't have a big enough following for that, but yeah. And to be fair, one of the positives and also negatives about our countries and how my country's allowed to, be free in terms of what our journalists are able to say. Like the UK will block you from saying certain things if they feel like it's negative towards like a part of their government or something they don't want the public to hear. In America, you can't really do that unless, of course, it's something related to that, to like state. Oh, god damn it! Screw you, bats! But the problem in America is too much freedom to where people can make up stuff. Like, they can, like with the, Fox News. Actually, Fox News has been, I don't know if other people in other countries know this, but Fox News has been sued for spreading misinformation and fake news. But every time that they go to court, they're like, we're not an actual news agency. We're not spreading truthful information. We neither claim to be a real news agency or a factual source of information. I need to deposit stuff, so I'll drop that off. But yeah, now I'm gonna back off from saying the stuff relating to that. I don't want to, I'm sorry. I have a problem with doing that. I'm going to stop. And then I spend half an hour more talking about the thing there. But yeah, I'm sorry about that. Yeah, no more political stuff. I don't want to become a political streamer, and my knowledge of politics and a lot of that stuff is not great. So, I mean, I'm slightly more knowledgeable than the layman, but I'm still an average American in terms of my knowledge of world events. Let's see. Yeah, it's good to do that once in a while, and venting for me, I find, is a very good way to relieve stress. I'm surprised everyone else has been sticking around this long to listen to me whine about stuff. I mean, I'm not complaining. I'm happy that everyone's, putting up with me going wah, wah, wah. I'm complaining about my first world problems, about other countries that have some similar issues to my own country. Well, yeah. I am not an expert, and once I need to reload, and I am leaving out some key details which are very important. So, it's important to point out when I'm missing things or I'm saying incorrect statements. Because, if someone listens to... One of the problems is, for some reason, people seem to think that I am a lot more knowledgeable about subjects than I really am. Because of the cadence in which I speak. And due to the certain quality of my voice. When really, I'm just an ignorant idiot going like, wah, wah, wah. Wait, no. Sorry, I meant to store. Oh, also I need to put away the tools because I don't want to... I've got so much junk in here. Yeah, sorry about that. You're not bitching. You're pointing out. There is a difference. Pointing out is basically just like, you're not saying the correct thing, or you're misphrasing this, or you're portraying this information in a way that's not entirely truthful or correct. That is when you're pointing something out. If you're bitching, you go, "Oh my God, you are stupid. How stupid could you be?" Which, you are being very tolerant with with me saying the wrong thing or doing that. So don't be harsh on yourself in regards to that. It's just... Yeah, sorry. Trying to focus on dropping stuff off and also simultaneously, wait. Okay, so that's... I don't like the AT decrease. Oh, sorry. Okay, I guess I'll stay 5 more minutes, but then I have to leave for work. But let's see. Yeah, sorry about that. Well, for me, it's more autism, Asperger's syndrome, and ADHD, which does a nightmare combination and then causes me to more confidently say things when I really shouldn't be talking. I've done my best to try to rein in those tendencies, but the more passionate I get about a subject, the harder it is for me to rein myself in. Well, the problem is some people, or a lot of people these days, have thought that it's, or think that's terrible to admit when you're wrong. It's not easy to admit when you're wrong, but it's an important skill to have to, in my opinion, be an adult. To be able to admit when you're wrong and just self-reflect. Because so many people are just like, do everything alone. If someone says something negative about you, then fuck them. Which, there are people who are rude online. But on the other hand, if a bunch of unrelated people are saying something about you, like, hey, you talk too much, or, you sound angry when you say certain things, then, if, as I said, like 20 people in the same day say this to you and they're all unrelated, then there might be a grain of truth in it. Outside of the people who go like, you're a racist because you don't like this character. Again, an example, I guess, of a character that somebody would say potentially you're racist for not liking is, have you ever played the Mass Effect series? I guess to sort of just... you remember Jacob? The token black character of your group? Yeah, he is... I'm sorry to say this because I do not like him. At first, well, yes, but here's the thing. Did you ever try dating him? Well, if you date him in the second game, in the third, because you remember in the third game, he gets married to this woman on a mission and has a child with her. Now, which, if you haven't dated him, if you're not dating him, that seems nice. It's just like, yeah, my man has a family now. But you have to understand, if you were dating him in the second game, the same thing happens. keep in mind that you were only away for like less than a year from him. So after you were locked up, he will basically go almost immediately to another woman, get her immediately pregnant, and not send anything to you about breaking up with you. And he will blame you for that, for like him being lonely. I know, but he is the only character that in the entire game that cheats on you. Also, the fact that he is a black stereotype character. I mean, even in when the game he first appears in, he has father issues. His father ran away from him. No, but why did they make... The question is, why did they make him even cheat on you? Why did they make him follow a negative stereotype, which is just like, you know, that, black men cheat on their partners and tend to have kids. Especially, you know, how, with the way with his father, then he's just like, I'm going to cheat on my partner. And not even dignify them with a response until I've already got this other person pregnant. It's just... I mean, also there's the other facts that every time, you know, in the game when you're supposed to be... Like, you know, when it's like, hey, let's go fight the collectors. Like, if you have no readiness level, Jacob's like, let's go immediately. And Miranda will often be like, no, we're not quite ready. But, you know, almost every time Jacob will like, I volunteer. Or, let's do this one thing that's terrible. I mean, I'm going to not assume it's racism. I'm going to assume it's just they weren't thinking about it. Because, you know, why blame racism on something that could just be them, you know, being, like, dumb? And then, furthermore, like, just, he makes a lot of recommendations that are bad, and then he calls out Thane, where he's just like, you can't trust assassins. They're just like mercenaries. Like, you work for a terrorist organization. Come on, man. But, you know, it's just like, Jacob, maybe get off your high horse. You work, as I said, you're working for a terrorist organization. Just come on, man. Although I'm not going to say that, like, you know, I'm not a fan of Jacob. I'm not going to go like, you can't like him for this. I mean, it's true with any character. There are certain features that people enjoy, and there's certain things that people hate. And I really need to leave because I have work to go to. So, thank you all for coming by. I'm sorry for being... Oh, sorry. Yeah, well, sometimes they focus so much on the story or what they want to be the payoff, they don't realize that type of thing. Oh, yeah. That's true. But, one second. Wait. Okay, just going to, oops, sorry. Save state. Alright, well, it was very enjoying talking to you. I sell foil hats, and by person. But I need to leave immediately. I'm probably going to be a little bit late. Thanks again. I hope to see you later, and I'll see you later. Bye. Bye-bye.